I was under the impression that slavery in the world was abolished hundreds of years ago. I realized not all people are treated equally, but I thought at least slavery no longer exists.
As I grew up, I never felt that my gender prescribed me a role in society. I could be a doctor if I wanted or a politician. No one was telling me I needed to be a homemaker or have a less powerful job than a man.
This past school year, I became more conscious of the unjust treatment of women in the United States. Little did I know that coming on this trip would strengthen my frustrations and further my desire to look more in depth into the vast cases of extreme injustices presented to women outside of my own country.
I didn't consider my role in society to be contingent upon my gender. Yes, women and men are different, but in this day and age, aren't opportunities presented to one also presented to the other?
But as we began our TBB journey, our perspectives on these issues began to change, as we saw the striking differences between our pasts and those of the people with whom we were beginning to interact. Our eyes were opened to the realities of our current world, and we learned that for many people, their gender defines them. For most of us, our journey started in the months leading up to our departure date with reading Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Loudon's book, Half the Sky, turning oppression into opportunity for women worldwide. This was our first glimpse at the stark inequality between genders that we knew little about. We read horrifying accounts of the slavery, sex slavery, that does still exist today in the world, the prevalence of genital mutilation in certain regions of Africa, the extreme paucity of healthcare, particularly maternal care for women, the widespread issue of female infanticide, and the general treatment of women as second-class citizens in regions throughout the world. But as our trip began, we started to learn more about gender inequality, beyond reading from pages in a book. Acharapon was a glowing woman we met in Thailand. As the main chef at the restaurant where we ate the majority of our meals in Chiang Mai, we were able to regularly interact with her and her smiling 2-year-old daughter. We asked to interview her about her thoughts on gender equality in her country. Although she personally feels treated as an equal to men, she was willing to tell us about the horrible mistreatment of women she continually hears about and fears on the local news. Stories of women on trains being raped and thrown off, or even young girls or babies being raped by older men in the family. To see her daughter next to her as we imagined these unthinkable crimes was a sickening feeling for all of us. Throughout our travels, as we talked to our host families, we learned more and more about the global unjust treatment of women. Some of our Thai host mothers explained that previously in their lives, they were not allowed out of their homes without permission from their husbands. Though this is not the case for them now, for many women throughout the world, this remains a reality. In India, we read news stories of women being paraded naked around on donkeys as a form of humiliating punishment for an alleged crime she committed. Male suspects were not treated in the same way. Though these stories were difficult to hear, we still felt a certain distance from the actual problem, since we were not seeing it with our own eyes. But within the following weeks, that too changed. As we arrived at our hotel in Phnom Penh, we noticed the abundance of prostitutes very near to where we were staying. And during a visit to the city palace in Jaipur, India, on one of our first days in the country, we witnessed a man slap his wife across her face. How could a man do that, and how could he feel comfortable doing that in public? We were shocked. Within the next few weeks and even days, we would also progress from witnessing the unjust treatment to being victims of it. As we walked, ran, or took an auto rickshaw through various parts of the city, we continually heard derogatory comments from men. It seemed appropriate in several men's minds to holler and laugh or yell, "Hey girl" and "Hey baby" as we went by. As uncomfortable as it was to experience and even to mention, some of us were even victims of inappropriate touching by men and teenage boys. How could anyone in his right mind think it's okay to do that? We felt objectified. We certainly weren't in the comfort of our own familiar worlds anymore. How could women be treated this way in so many parts of the world? And maybe more importantly, why do we know so little about these issues? Though we don't have answers to these questions, part of our motivation in creating this project is to expose this problem, to put an end to the lack of awareness. But we don't want to dwell on these disheartening realities without also mentioning the progress being made to bring about gender equality. At nearly every step of our journey, we have seen efforts to make a change. In Thailand, we heard repeatedly that the current situation is far better than what used to be the norm. Our host mothers explained that they now feel they are treated equally to men, and that even though they don't have a head woman of the village, they believe they should because men and women are equal. We were informed that neither gender was given specific tasks. Everyone shared the daily chores, from working in the rice fields to cooking meals. In Phnom Penh, we were especially touched by an organization called Daughters of Cambodia, which seeks to help victims of sex trafficking leave the sex industry. This organization offers employment opportunities to women wishing to leave a life of sex exploitation. While we sat down to lunch in the Daughters Cafe and saw former victims taking our orders and bringing us our food, we were able to personally see the progress being made and the impact that an organization such as this could make on these beautiful girls' lives. We were inspired. In India, we noticed several powerful, though sometimes subtle, expressions of an effort to empower women and promote gender equality. We saw a bumper sticker that read, "Save a girl child's life, save humanity." While watching TV one evening, one of our host mothers pointed out how much she loved a commercial that characterized a young woman as the breadwinner of her household. When a man says to her, "So you're the man of the house," she replies, "Even better, I am the woman." We also observed that in some of the schools where we worked, the teachers made a point to have the girls read aloud their answers at the front of the room, as to build confidence. These acts, as small as some of them were, left us with a feeling that we were not alone in understanding what needs to be changed about the way much of the world views and treats women. As our journey comes to a close, we're noticing a difference in the way we look at our world.
The most valuable gift the past few months has given me is awareness. Awareness of the intense struggles of women in Thailand, Cambodia, India, and even in the country I call home. I am also aware that the fight to end women's oppression isn't an easy one, but I neither cannot nor will not stop fighting.
My time abroad this semester has made me more knowledgeable and certainly more inspired to continue alongside the women of our world for actual, equal liberty and justice for all.
Now I know that even though I can be a doctor if I want or a politician, other girls of the world don't have that luxury. But I am able to use my freedom to fight so that equal rights and opportunities are no longer luxuries, they're standards.
Although discovering the truths of our current world over the past few months was often a painful and even enraging experience, I'm glad I now have a more realistic understanding of what life is like for millions of women around the world. And with this understanding has come a new motivation to work so that a woman can be defined by her character, not simply her gender.